Hello, hello, and welcome to Here We Are, the Mindful Podcast for Millennials, where it's all about remembering where we've been, knowing where we're going, and taking up space in the present through the art of storytelling. I'm your host, Teka, and I'll tie together the practice of presence and life lessons with faith and mental health nuggets too. Whether sharing my own experiences or featuring a special guest, I hope to inspire you to take control of your story and take control of your life. I hope you receive what you need from today's episode. And remember to check out the show notes in the description for links that I reference. Ready? Let's journey. Hello, beautiful people, and welcome back to the Here We Are podcast. I am your host, Teka, and I'm excited to be here with you all again after a little break that I took. If you're tuning in for the first time or you've been with us for a while, I just want to first thank you all for walking on this journey with me. I know I took a bit of a sabbatical the past few months to recharge and reflect and reconnect with myself. And, sometimes we just need to do that, to kind of step back, pause, and, make some space for God to reveal something new to us. And so for me, this period of realignment has been just that, not only for myself, but also for the direction of this podcast. I've been feeling called to bring our conversations into a deeper, more faith-centered space where we can really dive in to the ways that God works in our lives, especially in the areas of mental health and emotional healing. And so coming back during the season of gratitude, the month of November, which also happens to be my birthday month, is perfect. I feel like it feels really right because this sabbatical has shown me just how powerful gratitude really is. It's one of those practices that anchors us, even when life feels anything but certain, especially this week being an election week. I have felt all the feels, from confusion to disappointment to anger to also gratitude. And so I feel like I've had to anchor this year, but if you're a Black woman, I'm sure you have had to anchor a lot this week. So gratitude is going to be the focus of today's episode because it not only keeps us grounded, but it connects us to God and it connects us to other people. And so today we actually have a special guest with us who I have connected to through the topic of not only just gratitude, but also soul care, work with Black women. And we actually were connected to each other through a Black woman, and her name, who is our guest today, is China Panion. I am so excited that she's here. Hey, girl. Hey.
So excited. Especially considering this week. We needed this.
Girl, we needed it. And so I want to tell people about you before we hop into everything. So I'm going to read a little bit to you all listening and watching about China, this beautiful woman. She's actually the visionary behind Soul by the Pound, which you will see on her sweatshirt. She's repping her brand, which I love. Soul by the Pound is a transformative organization and podcast that's dedicated to empowering Black women to embrace personal responsibility in their health and wellness journeys. Through her inspirational advocacy and community building efforts, China supports Black women in prioritizing holistic self-care and sustainable lifestyle changes, which I love. Her work is so powerful, and her heart for this mission, it shines through everything she does. And I believe that's what connected us. With Thanksgiving and the holiday season around the corner, China and I are going to be diving into how gratitude has shaped her life and her faith journey as well. Welcome, China.
Thank you. Thank you for having me, Tika. I mean, we connected through friend Taryn, High Functioning Black Girls.
Shout out to Taryn.
Shout out. And it's so amazing because, you support people online and you see the work that they're doing. And it's even better when you get to meet them and you get to know them. Yes. And then collectively we do like amazing stuff together. So it feels good. So I'm so grateful to podcast and talking to you. So I'm ready. I'm excited.
Thank you. Thank you. And yes, shout out to Taryn. I think that that's one thing about the internet that I have loved over the last year, over the last couple of years, is that it's connected me to some really amazing people, but especially amazing Black women. So I'm grateful that Taryn felt so led to like extend that and to connect us, because I think we are all in different states. One, so that's the beauty of the internet. I'm in Virginia, Taryn's in Ohio, and you're in Chicago. Yes. So all over, but there is this thread that connects all of us, which I think is the work that we do. So I'm appreciative for you agreeing to join.
This has been I told someone recently, I said, I am in a circle of giving right now. Like literally, I'm just like giving, I'm receiving, and it feels good.
Yeah.
So thank you.
You're so welcome. You're so welcome. I mean, giving, gratitude, generosity, all of that, all the G's. I love a alliteration. That is the season we're in. And so I want to ask, just with your story first, can you share with listeners and watchers a little bit about like how Soul by the Pound came to be? Like, what is it? Because if someone wants to hear it, they're like, Soul by the Pound, Soul by the... Okay, so what is that? Can you tell me a little bit about how it came to be?
Of course. So Soul by the Pound started, goodness, I think it's been like 12 years now, 13 years ago. And it really just started with a group of me and my friends. We all put money in a jar and was like, okay, it was like 7 or 8 of us. We're like, let's lose weight this summer. The summer's almost over. It was like in August. We all put money in a jar, and each week we were like, let's see who loses the most weight that week, and they could take the jar.
Yeah.
Obviously, it was all Black women. Obviously, with our scheduled commitments, we had moms, we had students, we had workers, we had everything on there, you know, the women with the capes, right? Yeah. So we had all these Black women doing so many different things. And I was like, wait, can we take this from just us meeting on Sundays to an online group? So this is when Instagram just first started. So we had Instagram, we had a website, and women were just collaborating, sharing diet tips, sharing workout tips. And as it grew, I was like, this is more, when it comes to weight loss for Black women, it's more than just a weight loss situation. When it comes to our overall health, it's so many different components. I was 26 at the time. I didn't know. I just knew I wanted to work out. I'm sitting here eating boiled eggs and 100-calorie soups every day and to lose weight. But the more and more we started talking about some of the challenges we have, when you start talking about food deserts, when you start talking about mental health, when you start talking about advocacy, when you start talking about like going to the doctor and seeing people who look like you, like when we started to dig into these layers, I'm like, this is a bigger thing than just us in this group. So slowly we began to have different events throughout the city. We provided free workouts to college women of color. We provided, we have an annual Break a Sweat for Breast Cancer event that actually was on hiatus since COVID, but definitely bringing that back next year. But we had a huge Break a Sweat for Breast Cancer, which was featured a couple of times on Fox News in Chicago, which is just a workout. Yeah, it's a workout dedicated to just Black women breaking a sweat, because there is a correlation between obesity and breast cancer. So over time, it's been, I feel bad because I kind of treated it like a side chick. I don't want to say that term, but I haven't treated it with much love, because you doing this type of work is very challenging sometimes, and you have to recenter yourself. And I still have to do my regular 9 to 5. So it has been a challenge in a little bit, but it's been a labor of love. And I'm so happy that recent events has really pushed us to do even more in this space. So I'm excited about that. But that's how we got started.
That's how you got started. I love it. I love that it started as a heart project for you and your friends, those that were directly connected to you. And I mean, even just the way that it had to affect you. You were like, I need to work on my health. I need to work on my wellness. I know my friends do too. Like you said, we're all wearing all these different capes, these hats, all these roles. And so having that time and having that community carved out for just y'all, even if it was, like you said, just posting on Instagram and focusing on eating right and getting our workouts in, it started as like what's the word I'm looking for? Kind of like an inner circle mission. And then it expanded because, of course, you see it affecting not just you, but then your spheres of influence. And then it grows larger and it's featured, you know, on news stations. And so I love that your reach has expanded to do this soul care. And I'm excited for you to bring it back, especially Break a Sweat for Breast Cancer. I definitely am
that
excited
was
for
my
that.
favorite event because it was like just to see. Because I think typically when we talk about women's health, now I feel like it's more of a bigger conversation.
Yeah.
Like we talk about this all the time. We talk about therapy openly. We talk about personal care. We talk about soul care. We talk about all this stuff openly. But when Soul by the Pound first started, this really wasn't a conversation people had publicly. Like it was your business.
Mm-hmm.
Like when we had the first Break a Sweat for Breast Cancer event, I remember a friend of my mom's was there and she was a survivor. We had no clue.
Wow.
This woman was literally just going through it by herself.
Yeah.
And even when it came to like therapy, and we had probably like 10 years ago, we had a conversation about mental health in the Black community. And I brought on these therapists, psychologists, like people who did this work in the community. And I remember even at that event, we weren't even openly talking about going to therapy. Like it was an association. If you go to therapy, something's wrong.
Yeah.
Not just I go to therapy. Now it's like, I go to therapy, girl. I'll catch you after.
Right.
Like therapy, Target, and Starbucks is like, it's just the Black woman's bag. So now it's more talked about. When it first started, it wasn't a conversation we were having. So it's shifted a lot in the sense of before I was like, we have to take responsibility for our health and we have to. Now I'm kind of like in the past 3 years, I switched it to no, we took responsibility. Here's what we want from you. So here's what we want from legislator. Here's what we want from healthcare. Here's what we want from our community. Here's what we want. Like now, I switched to we switched to responsibility because we're doing our part. So I think that's something to like note. With the change of times.
With the change of times, for sure. And just like you said, it's something that you have to hold other people accountable to providing the resources so it can continue, so it can be sustainable. Absolutely. You know, so reaching out to legislators and the community organizations and making this like a collaborative effort. Black women, we can do a lot. Okay. But we can only do so much. Like we need y'all to come alongside.
We saw what a Black woman did in 107 days. Listen. So you know we can do.
I was like, first of all, her campaign, look at y'all, side note, but relevant. Her campaign needs to be studied because the fact that she did all of that in 107 days and was able to make that much of an impact. She was like, what? She had like 240 some electoral college votes. Like that's a lot to have only been campaigning for like a little over 3 months. And to be the most qualified candidate ever. She's the most qualified. She has worked in all 3 branches of government. Okay. Yeah. I was like, that alone. But one of the things that I have tried to remind myself of with this weekend, with seeing, you know, this experience that we're having as Black women and how it's kind of not, I won't say triggering, but it is reminding us of some things that society tries to tell us. I'm grateful that we don't take on this whole notion that we're not good enough, even though that's how it feels. Because I saw a lot of people posting that. They were like, this is just confirming that as Black women, we can be overqualified and still not be good enough. And I was like, it can feel that way, which is valid. Yeah. But I'm not going to take that on. I'm not going to take that on.
I don't take it on either, but I would be a liar to say that's not how I instantly felt, you know, because you think about a prosecutor and
a senator,
a felon competing for the same. You think of a prosecutor and a felon competing for the same job. It just sounds mind-boggling. Like you do internalize it because we have been taught to work twice as hard our entire life. So when you just heads down, work, and then you like, Jesus, it still didn't pay off. Like it does hurt. Yeah. So, but I will agree with you on not taking that on because going back to the idea of gratitude, we're just going to be grateful that we have this time to recenter. Yes. We have this time to rest. Yes. We have this time to lean on each other. Not that we weren't doing it already, but we weren't resting already. So I'm excited about this shift and us to just kind of fall back a little bit.
Yeah. Speaking of gratitude and like this difficult time, I know like this week is definitely an opportunity for us to say, okay, gratitude is helping shift our perspective. But can you tell us about maybe another time when gratitude was what you needed to, lean on to help shift your perspective when things did not seem like they were going to go well or things weren't going well? How did gratitude help you?
For sure. So I talk about this a lot on Soul by the Pounds podcast, but every morning I'm doing my 5. I'm writing down 5 things I'm grateful for.
Mm-hmm.
And what made me start this is I was living in New York for about a little under 6 years.
Mm-hmm.
And when I was living there, I went through COVID, I went through my parents' age, and I went through my dad's sick. I went through a really bad breakup. It was just a lot of things I felt were like ganging up on me. And I had a million reasons to be sad versus a million reasons to be happy.
Yeah.
I thought. So I should say I thought,
yes.
Right? And so I heard that there's like scientific proof that you can't say that what you're grateful for and actively be depressed or actively be sad. They don't exist in the same space. Like, I guess biologically, I don't know. I got to find an article, so don't let me misquote. But I heard that. I was like, all I gotta do is say what I'm grateful for. So I started off, Tika, like, I'm grateful for YouTube. I'm grateful for Pinterest. Every morning, like, if someone told me a funny joke, I was like, ooh, that joke was funny. If someone was just making myself every morning write 5 things I'm grateful for. 5 is my favorite number. It's my birth. I'm the May baby. Like, I just number 5. And slowly I saw a transformation, and not only was I like my mood and my energy change, but I looked forward to it in the morning. And not only did I look forward to it, I saw how God shift things in my life. Because sometimes I don't know, I always kind of feel like when you're saying, God, I'm grateful for this, you kind of get more, like you receive more, right? So I just kind of changed my mindset, and it literally started off with, I just want to change my morning. I just want to start my morning, and actually started during COVID. I just want to start my morning saying what I'm grateful for in a time of uncertainty. And slowly, I saw a shift, and it definitely has increased my faith, because I go back to that book all the time and say, dang, I remember so before going to sleep. Like I was saying, sleep was on there a good solid 100 times for 2020, because I couldn't even
easy sometimes.
Not easy. I'm like, dang, I got sleep again. Like, and so when you go back and reflect on it, you have a spirit and an attitude of gratitude, and that's one thing that I like will hold true to my heart, and one thing I would forever take pride in is just having an attitude of gratitude.
Yeah. I love that. So you said, okay, I need to just change my morning, but over time it changed your mindset. And I love how you pointed out that, okay, this is your opportunity to tell God, like, hey, I'm down here grateful for the things that I even have right now. Like, I'm going to steward these well. And you feel like that opened up the for what we call, like in the old church saying, open up the floodgates of heaven. And God was like, let me go ahead and pour you out a blessing, because you're stewarding what you have well, which is so true. I mean, it makes me think of even like in childhood, like my mom would be like, you need to take care of what you have before you ask me to get you something new. Like, take care of that Game Boy before you ask for a PlayStation.
Yes, they definitely that. Like, you gotta treat your toys, those sneakers you got now, good, and then you get something else in return. That's true.
For sure.
Yeah.
How do you feel like gratitude has transformed your relationship with God? Because again, you said initially this was starting off like, we in COVID, times are uncertain. I'm just trying to make sure my morning starts off well. But over time you recognize like, oh, this is like shifting my faith. How have you noticed those changes, or what have those shifts look like?
So this is so funny, but I had one answer because I talked about the interview, and I had one answer in mind. But then last night I was having a conversation with my little brother, and he lives in a different state, and I was telling him that because he's an anxious, like, I got to do this, I got to do this, I got to do that, I got to do this, I got to do that, and I don't want to say I'm emotionless, but I kind of just say, you know what, God's going to work it out. I have that kind of attitude. So, and I lately just try not to stress over things. And I was telling him when I moved back from New York to Chicago, probably I moved back May, and I was laid off by Juneteenth.
Wow.
So I had like 1 month. So literally packing up your whole entire life, spending thousands of dollars to relocate back home. I didn't come back home and everything was set up. I had to restart everything, like start my place again. I had to see family. It's spring. Everybody got graduations, birthdays, everything. And then I got laid off. And I was telling my brother, in retrospect, the job that I was at before, and then I got laid off at, I was completely stressed out. I was completely burnt out. I was about 40 pounds heavier than I am now. I was at the end. And I said, literally everything that I prayed and wanted for, but I couldn't really step out on faith to achieve. And I never like, I tend to pray, which I've been working on. I tend to pray and just give thanks and not say, God, here's what I need. Because I'm like, I don't want to ask, like, I don't want to seem like I'm.
Yeah.
And I told my brother in retrospect, when I got into this, when I moved back and got laid off and I was in my apartment, I started thanking God for everything. I would go on walks every day. Thank you, God, for this tree. Thank you, God, for this. And slowly, while I was just doing all of these like things, these habits of gratitude and just being thankful, like I thank God for my landlord. I thank God for my like I was just thanking for every little thing, right? And next thing you know, all of the stuff that I did not even pray for was happening for me. And so I told my brother, I was like, when you just change your attitude and you know how God is in control, it's really going to strengthen your faith. So it made me think like, dang, I'm sitting here giving thanks for this. And now I have a peaceful work environment. I didn't know how much I prayed for. I don't want a toxic. I literally find notebooks where I was like, no more toxic work environment.
That's
like I've
real.
been through some stuff. Yeah. It's real, especially as a Black woman. Girl. So especially in places where no one looks like you either. So I just got into the habit of doing all those things. And I told him this last night and I was like, you will see like how God just turns everything around. So I think that's what really definitely, when gratitude really increased my faith with God.
Wow. Yeah. One of the things that just stood out to me is that before like gratitude, and this is not something that you're alone in experiencing, because I think I do this too. But before we get to that space of like gratitude, it's almost like we're trying to control everything around us because we're seeing it from a perspective of lack or not enough, or this is not what I wanted, or everything is uncertain and terrible. And so I need to control it. I need to make sure that I put all my efforts and power into it. But we know that that's not how life works, or at least in terms of those who have faith and believe that God is in control of everything. Now, is he going to come down here and just start moving chess pieces? He probably can. He can. Yeah. But most of the time it's him imparting, wisdom into us, or aligning us with the right people who can be vessels of his work, or, giving us opportunities to walk into situations that we were, like you said, non-toxic work environments. Like that is a serious ask, because in this day and age, we're there 8 hours, sometimes more than a day. That's a lot of our life that we're at work. And I want it to be easeful and peaceful, I
want to like y'all. I want to feel good when I come home.
I want to try to like y'all. If I don't, I want to at least be cordial.
I want to like this word. Do you know the song? It's a gospel song. Yes, my soul said. Don't ever ask me to sing nothing, because I always sing off key. Yes, and they're like, yes, is your heart and soul say yes. Oh, that song, yes. And on the end of it, I sound terrible, so I hate when I sing. But anyway, on the song at the end, the woman says, "Come on up a little higher." And so I always repeat that in my head, because our dreams, like, yes, God is going to give you all the desires of your heart, right? But sometimes we be thinking right here, and he's all the way up here.
No ceiling.
Hello? So when you think about that, I always think of the song, like if I'm disappointed about something, I'm like, dang, God, why didn't I get this? Or I get frustrated, because we all do, right? We want to micromanage God and say, this is what I want. And that song always is in my head, like, come on up a little higher, like, China, you down here. Like, I got some stuff for you. So that's the only, come on now, elevate a little bit. You think you're so small. So that's the only way I could kind of like navigate the frustration parts, is I'm thinking too small. Like I'm too low. So I don't know.
That's a good perspective. Maybe I'm frustrated because I'm thinking too small. I'm trying to micromanage what God's trying to do. And he's up there like, I got this. Like, you can take your hands off of it now.
Oh, that's my dad's favorite line. He always like, take your hands off of it, China. Take your hands off of it. He always says that, take your hands off of it. Like, it's not for me to control. So
it's a real faith leap to be grateful even in times of uncertainty, because it's almost like you're expressing gratefulness or gratitude for the present, but also for what's to come, because there's I heard it expressed I think I went to it was the Hope Conference I went to with Sarah Jakes Roberts. And
Oh, nice.
this was
Okay.
I think it was like last year, my mom and I went. It was in Maryland. And she said that basically the definition of hope, it was either her or Dr. Anita Phillips. They're like, the definition of hope is basically you remembering you have history with God. So like I've seen all of these ways that you have, come through for me. You fulfilled my desires. You have blessed me over like abundantly past me and beyond what I could even imagine. And so my hope is helping me to be grateful for the future, even if I can't see what's coming, and that's what faith is. It's like, faith is the things that you can't see. And so with that hope, it's like, okay, I'm hopeful. I have gratitude. I have faith, and all of that encompass it grounds you. So if anything, I hope that those listening and those watching can let those three stand out to you this week, this month, this year. We're getting towards the end of the year, so carry that into 2025. Like, let hope be your reminder that things have gone well before, even when you didn't even expect it. Let gratitude be what you practice in the present, and then let faith be what you kind of use to help look forward to the future. Like, you don't have to stay in that space of frustration because you're not in control. You're not in control.
Absolutely. And like the old folks used to say in the song, when I look back over my life, like you look back, like historical,
over.
Yes, we got historical about God always showing up. Like, why are we not? So
evidence. Okay, but okay, so that's another thing I want to ask. Like, what are some gratitude practices people can practice so that they can gather all that data? Like you said, you have notebooks where you'll go back and be like, wow, like I was grateful for these things like over 100 times. I was grateful for sleep. I was grateful for a non-toxic work environment. I'm grateful for the trees. What are some other ways that people could practice gratitude? Maybe are having a hard time.
I think number one is just writing it down.
Yeah.
Because sometimes your mind can't even sometimes always get everything out just thinking it. You could just be going in circles. You could put it on the back. I think it's the action of actually writing it out. I grew up in a house. My father wrote gratitude letters every night to God. He used to be like, thank you, God, every single night. And it's so funny because as a kid, I used to be so annoyed because I will find his journals or he'll write it on the back of mail or whatever. But every day my dad will write down, thank you, God, for this and this. I'm praying for this and this and this. He wrote it.
Wow.
So that was my first time ever seeing like a conversation with God. Like, so, and then the reason why I also put a heavy emphasis on writing it down, I recently told my therapist this. I was like, I kind of feel like I'm on autopilot. Like you drive to work and you do the same thing. You don't even know how you got to work. You've just been doing it. And I said, I've been on autopilot because I'm very particular about my schedule. And I'm like, what? And I was like, what ways can I just get myself together? She was like, okay, you could do stuff like rub your hands. You could do stuff like breathing exercises. But she's like, the act of actually doing something keeps you like moving and alive and in the moment.
Right.
And I think the act of actually writing out gratitude, it puts you in the moment. Like you're put in the moment to give nothing but gratitude to God. And that's like an amazing thing. So, besides that is affirmations. Like, thank you, God, for this. Thank you, God, for that. If I don't remember to pray before I go to sleep, or if I'm too tired, one thing I say is thank you, God, and I go to sleep. Like if I just like comes out of my mouth, and I think having that attitude and doing those practices, even just saying thank you to friends. So I have a stack of cards. Everyone I know has a handwritten something from me. Okay, because I'm really, I love to write. Like I love old.
I love a good card. I love a good card.
We pen pals, girl, because we're in different states.
We need to be pen pals.
But it's something about writing thank you to people and just telling them like, hey, thank you for this. Hey, thank you for that. That puts you in a spirit of gratitude. It makes you remember what this person did to you. It makes you remember how you felt at that moment they helped you. And I think that's another practice that you could immediately put into play. Yeah. And it's actually, I was watching a video of this woman who said that she takes out 3 cards a month and she just sends it out like thank you cards. Like she takes 3 cards and she leaves them on her little. It was a home tour. Actually, it wasn't even like a gratitude video. It was a home tour, and I'm obsessed with those, by the way. But she had on her little console table 3 cards, and she sets them out every month, and she just mails them to anyone who's close to her. And I think that's, again, putting yourself in that, as the activity, putting yourself in a mindfulness, gratefulness attitude. Because if we're always thinking about what I need, what I want, what's not, you will never be in the attitude. You won't ever feel it. You won't ever be grateful for anything.
Yeah. I love those practices. So write it down, and say, if anything, just say it out loud. Just say thank you. And then also practice showing gratitude towards your friends, the people in your life, which is so important. I love that. So hopefully y'all are like taking that in as like, if you want to create your own gratitude practice, that we do that here on the podcast, but outside of it, like if you're looking for creative ways to do that, especially during this holiday season, China just gave us some really great insight and advice on how to do that. And I know sometimes, and I want to speak to something too, because I know sometimes it is easy to maybe give into that spirit of not being grateful. I think it was 2 years ago, 2022, I was like at like a friend's giving event and we were all going around sharing what we were grateful for. And I think life had just been like beating me down. And I was like, honestly, I don't really have anything to feel grateful for right now. And I think my friends were shocked because that's just not my energy. They were like, no, like Teka, you're just always so bright and just so mindful. And I was like, but Teka is going through some stuff. And it's hard for me to feel grateful. And I think that difficulty is real. So I recognize that and I can empathize with anyone who feels that, especially in the season of the holidays. Like it can bring up a lot for us. Even if there are things that you're experiencing, whether it's grief from loss of, people that are in your life, loved ones, whether it's through transition, whether it's loss of, a job, a home, whether it's this week because we lost an election, like loss, grief, sadness, even mental illness, depression, anxiety can kind of try to stifle us from being grateful. But I want to encourage y'all to push through. Just say, I'm thankful, like push through it, create a practice so that when you do get into those moments where maybe depression or anxiety is trying to, wear you out, you can say, you know what, I know what works for me. I practice gratitude and I can come back to that. I try to tell my clients that all the time. I'm like, if anything, you need to do two things. I'm like, I can give you all these little psychology interventions and tools to practice, but if nothing else, there's two things I always tell them. You need to play, like have fun, go play. And you need to you need to practice gratitude. Like you need to practice saying you're thankful for something. I love it. I'm like, we adulting is hard enough. Like, go play. Go outside and play. So push through, y'all. Push through.
No, seriously. And I think it's sometimes those feelings are natural to feel, sometimes defeated. And I think another thing when it comes to gratitude is literally faking it till you make it. Like, okay, I'm grateful for I have a red car. I'm grateful that, like I had chicken for dinner today. Like whatever. But whatever it is, just it's nothing too big or too small. I know one time a therapist told me, she was like, China, I want you to get into the habit of journaling. She was like, even if you just write down chocolate cake 20 times, chocolate cake, just write it, like get it all out. Yeah. So I think, so whatever, you can fake it till you make it, because eventually you will have something to really, you always have something to be grateful for, even if life is really beating you down.
Yeah. I mean, you said it earlier, you were like, a gratitude practice can be affirmation. So you can write what you want to feel. If right now you're in a season where you're feeling depressed, you can say, I'm grateful that I have joy. You are claiming those things. Remember, we talk about faith. So you're speaking them into existence. I'm grateful that I'm successful. I'm grateful that I'm content. Like everything don't got to be rainbows and fairies. You can be like, I'm grateful that I'm at peace. And that's it.
Yes.
And so you can claim those things. And over time, your heart, your mind, and your body will start to get into alignment with that. And you'll actually feel that gratitude. So y'all tap into that practice, okay?
For real.
Find something to be grateful for. I know it's so cheesy. It's the season of gratitude, but it really is. And this season doesn't have to last just, October, November, December. Let it be your life's posture is gratitude. Yeah.
Absolutely. At my gym, at the end of every workout, she's always like, hug yourself. If no one hug you today. And then she's always like, be grateful you have arms and legs. And that's something that's so small. But my dad is an amputee. So I don't take for granted to be able to use and move my body. I don't take for granted to be see. We've all been in situations where you've been injured or hurt or whatever, and you're like, dang, this moves like this now. Like it's an honor to be able to move your body. It's an honor to be able to live. It's just so many great things.
Yeah.
Like I remember a time when I used to never talk. When I grew up in a pretty mixed neighborhood, and I remember I used to work at the summer camp, and all the kids were white. I was the only black camp counselor, whatever. And I used to never say anything about race or like even being a black woman. I was just like, oh, they're like, oh, but China, your darker than mine. You know, kids get tan, like, oh,
I'm almost as dark as you, girl.
Yes, girl. And now I be like, girl, I'm gang. Like, what? I'm a black woman. What is a group?
The best.
But like, it just switching. Like, eventually, all the stuff that you feel like you're frustrated about. How many times have we been frustrated about like job loss, and then you be all like, it feel good to not go nowhere today. Like everything that we like once did not take pride in. Once you had that gratitude, you kind of like, dang, I kind of miss this. I'm a little grateful for that. So
it makes a world of a difference. That's so true. That is so true. I love that. Thank you so much, China. This was good. So good.
Great talking to you, and especially on this day. I think this was necessary.
This was definitely necessary. This week, it was necessary to be able to connect. So I appreciate it. So if y'all are curious of, okay, so what could I do? What's something I want to do? You can practice a gratitude practice with us right now. As you know, this is a segment of the podcast called GIFT. This is our gratitude practice where it's an acronym. The G stands for gratitude or goal, but we're going to focus on gratitude today. The I is for intention. The F is for faith or focus. And then the T is for take action. And so having that acronym really quick, you can just put those words, you can put one word or you can put sentences, you can put a whole paragraph or journal entry for every letter. But it's a great way to practice gratitude if you don't already. And so what we'll do is China and I are going to share our gifts with you all. I'll start with my G, which I mentioned that November is my birthday month, but by the time you hear this podcast, it would have been like 3 weeks or 2 weeks since my birthday, which is on November 7th. So I'm actually very grateful for another year of life. I have lived 34 years. And so that's not something that I take for granted because some people did not. I have a lot of people in my life who did not make it to their 30s. And so I'm really grateful for another year of life. My intention is to be intentionally consistent. So even with this podcast, with my self-care, with the way that I'm taking care of myself and my friends and my family, like I just want to practice consistency. And that doesn't mean being like rigid with myself. So like if I need to take a sabbatical, I'm gonna take another sabbatical. But even being consistent with my rest, like I just want to be intentionally consistent and not letting it just kind of be by happenstance or involuntary. My F is to pray before every episode. So I mentioned how the podcast is taking a different direction, or it's not taking a different direction. We're just centering faith more. And I think that, this podcast is not something I'm just doing just for the heck of it. I do believe it's a calling. And so I want to make sure that God is involved in every corner and crevice of it. So praying before every episode. And then my T, my take action, is to share a little bit more about why this shift and new direction has taken place in the podcast, which we will have an episode all about that, y'all. So don't worry. But that is my take action, is to tap more into what that looks like and why. And also what you guys can do when it comes to the shift in the perspective and the direction of the podcast. So that is my gift. China. Thank you. Yes. What's your gift?
So I wrote down for G, I'm grateful for sisterhood. I have some amazing women around me. Like I'm so happy that I have some great stories about how women have supported me, empowered me, and particularly on a week like this week, Black women just collectively gave each other a hug. So that was is definitely sisterhood and family. My intention is to really to laugh more. I was like, I want to continue laughing. Like, I think I take myself too seriously sometimes, and I'm actually a silly person, but lately I've been like, I gotta get this done, I gotta get this. It's the end of the year, it's Q4, we're trying to push through.
Yeah.
So my intention is to laugh more, but also really be diligent about soul by the pound. F, my focus is really my community. And so by community being Black women, and then also with Sold by the Pound. And then also, and when I say community as well, I think for so long, I think I underestimated the power of community. Like I didn't really understand, like, I was just like, okay, this is something you do. We're taught to look out for each other, but this right here, this community stuff is so serious right now. And then take action. So definitely more stuff. Sold by the Pound is going to be doing our, what will be, third year of the podcast coming up in January. So that is one action. Yes, I'm excited about that. And then we have this self-care journal that is coming out.
Ooh, come on, share it
out. Yes. So that is how I'm going to take action. And this journal is really designed to allow Black women to take time for themselves. I mean, whoever wants to get the journal, but specifically the Black women who their capes are. This journal is designed to be a self-care journal and to really help them be diligent about their time.
I like that.
Here's what I need to do for myself. So, yeah, that's my gift.
I'm excited about that. Thank you for your gift. And please, please, please be sure to share the links to like the journal when they're available so we can share it with the listeners and the Here We Are community. Because like you just said, the power of community is real. And so let me know how I can extend my branch so that, you know, more women can get the impact and get involved with the mission of Sold by the Pound. Speaking of which, where can people find you? Like on social media, online?
So yeah, you can find Sold by the Pound. It's Sold by the Pound Wellness on IG. Our website is soldbythepound.org. And what else am I missing? Am I missing anything? Instagram.
Are you on YouTube?
We do have a YouTube channel, but it's nothing up there really. It's just one video clip of just through the years. But yeah, so it's Sold by the Pound as well on YouTube.
Good. Y'all know we will tag Sold by the Pound Wellness on IG so y'all can follow and get involved and keep up with everything that China is doing. So that brings us to our last segment, which is Tunes ATM. Y'all know I love music. That is something that will always be a part of the podcast. And Tunes ATM at the moment, this is where you can find what the guests of the podcast and myself are vibing out to. So what you listening to in the car? What was newly released, or what oldie but goodie are you putting on repeat? So the playlist is comprised. It's on YouTube. It's on Apple Music. It's on Spotify. So you all can find the podcast under Here We Are, Tunes ATM. Okay, so make sure that you go and look out for that. It is an eclectic playlist. I will say that because some guests, I mean, it can go from trap to gospel to you know, drill music. I mean, it can go anywhere, to country. And when I say country, I mean like our country. But it's a very eclectic playlist, but it is a way for us to also stay connected and just have fun, enjoy ourselves. Yeah, so I'm curious, China, what have you been listening to? What's your vibe tune?
Okay, so people make fun of me because I love house music and disco. I'm from Chicago, so you know I gotta love house music.
This is not a surprise. Why are people making fun of you?
So house music is not a surprise, but the disco is a surprise. Yeah. So the song that I have been playing forever, it just makes me feel so good. Well, not forever. I went to a block party probably a month ago and I heard it. Okay. And when I look around these people at the block party, they're all like, it just felt good. So I am playing Diana Ross, It's My House.
Okay.
And I thought about this too when I was thinking about today's podcast. I'm like, wait, it's my house. And I live here. And she says, open up the door. Like, it's just such a sweet song. So that is what I'm playing. That one. And then Music in the Streets. I forgot the group that plays Music in the Streets.
Those are the two.
No, it's...
I'm thinking of something totally different. Music in the Streets.
So I heard Music in the Streets. I don't know if we could play. I don't want to play music on here if you can't. Can you play music on here?
I haven't before, but let's play like 10 seconds.
No, I don't listen, because if you put it on YouTube, I don't want to mess it up. But let's see, music. I'm gonna tell you who it is. Music in the Streets.
Okay.
It is by a group called Unlimited Touch. And that is another one. I hear music in the streets. It just literally makes you want to dance. Yeah. So I love feel good music. All disco music makes me feel good. Like, it makes me want to just dance. So, and then the last one is another old one, which is Harvest of the World by the Isley Brothers.
Ooh, come on, Isley Brothers.
Oh my gosh, I'm an old soul.
Yes. No, I love these. All the songs you're sharing as your vibe tunes are, like you said, all feel good music. Like they get your energy and your soul up. They have you smiling,
Yes.
moving your body and dancing. I love it. Oldies but goodies.
Yes.
Hello. Those are things
Very
that stand
old.
out. And it feels like
And two
back
of them,
then.
I heard it. I heard it. I was like, oh my God, this feels good.
Yeah.
What is this? Oh,
I was Shazam a song so fast. Yes.
girl. That's my favorite. I said I'm 40 years old, so I said I officially hit 40 because I'm in the grocery store singing now. So I'm like, okay, I hit that age. If I'm singing grocery store music,
She's like, oh, I know this. Gen Z and Gen Alpha are probably like, we don't.
what
What
is
is
this?
this? Is this
Right?
music? Y'all don't know good music. I'm that auntie where I'm like, y'all don't know nothing about this, and you really don't.
They don't know nothing about this. My brother was telling me, "That's not even your decade." Shut up! You also know about this. Oh
That
God.
is cute. Well, I'm gonna add those in my house. It's My House by Diana Ross, Music in the Streets by Unlimited Touch, and Harvest of the World by the Isley Brothers. I love it. So those will be added to the playlist. And my vibe tunes are two like new-ish songs. So one is by a singer that I absolutely love. Her name is Melanie Fiona. She was like, yes, she was so popular back in like the 2010s. I feel like that's when I first started getting into her because every time I think about her first album, I think about college. But she recently came out with two new singles, and one of them is called "I Choose You." And it's like a island vibe. Like she's tapping into her Caribbean side. It's like an island vibe, love song. And it's about, just choosing your person despite, them being the one that gets on your nerves, but you love them the most. But you choose them. And it's so cute because I shared it with my boyfriend. I was like, oh my gosh, Melanie Fiona has a new song. And he said the same thing. He's like, okay, this is a little island ting. And I was like, what you know about island ting? But anyway.
She's so beautiful too.
So beautiful. And the other song is called Say Yes. And well, that's her other song. It's not my other song, but the other song she had on that two single release was Say Yes. And her husband was like the love interest in her music video. I said, oh, so
come
cute.
on now. Come on.
Hey, he got to earn his keep. Come on. You going to work in this music video.
Extra. Come on, boy.
Free. I'm gonna pay you. She probably paid him in other ways, but free.
Yeah.
And then my other vibe tune is called My Song. It's by Madison Ryann Ward. And Madison Ryann Ward, she is I don't know, I think she's like a Christian, but also like, I won't say like pop, maybe contemporary, alternative. I don't even know. I don't like to put it in a genre, but beautiful, beautiful singer. Her voice has so much soul to it. And her song called My Song is off her newest album or release project. It's basically talking about how like, I'm always going to sing my song, even, no matter what's going on. So my song is going to be my praise. It's going to be my worship, my weapon. It's going to be what keeps me grounded and connected. My song is something that I'm going to always have, despite what life is throwing my way. And so this week I have been playing that song because it can kind of feel like, life is trying to beat me down, but I fight back, and I'm gonna fight back with my song. And so I wanted to add that.
Oh, I'm definitely looking up those songs. I love hearing new music. I love it. Like something I've never heard before. So
Thank you. They're both really good songs. And so I hope that you all have a chance to listen to all the songs and the vibe tunes that China and I have shared. And I hope that exactly. And I hope that this conversation was what everybody needed. It's what my soul needed. I appreciate you, China, for coming and sharing your story of how, Soul by the Pound came to be, and how gratitude and faith and hope really helped you in that journey and will continue to help you in that journey. I'm really excited for all the things that you're going to do and how things are going to come into fruition. You said December and January. So I'm excited for that as well.
I actually got one.
Do you? Ooh, we get a sneak peek. Come on, exclusive. Ooh.
Hold on.
I'm here for it. The Soul Star 90-Day Planner. Y'all, this is an exclusive. If you're watching, you can see it. Come on, thorough.
So I'm excited, and thank you so much for having me on here. I think the energy is perfect. I think this conversation was not something just the listeners needed, but definitely I needed this week. So I appreciate you as well.
You're so
Teka.
welcome. You're so welcome. Thank you. Thank you for coming. Y'all, let's just go into this season of gratitude together. We can honor the blessings we have. We can seek God for what we need, seek his presence. Or like my mom said, she said, seek his face and not just his hands. And just find comfort in the collective practice of gratitude, y'all.
Absolutely.
Yes. So this is the Here We Are podcast. Let's stay connected, y'all. Follow us on Instagram at Here We Are Pod. You can also find us on YouTube and Facebook. If you want to share your story or the ways that you are making sure that your faith is integrated with your mental health, you can email the Here We Are Pod at gmail.com. I'm looking forward to hearing your story. I thank you for listening to China's story. And I hope that we all just take good care of ourselves, take care of each other, and stay in the attitude of gratitude.
Absolutely.
All right, y'all. Take care.